We're back at it again. Scary Sonic Stories Part 2. Hey everybody, welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. If you're a fan of the channel, you'll know that we've done many a video on all things Sonic, including all things terrifying in the realm of Sonic. Terrifying. From scary moments to creepypastas, we've dived into many a tale that are fictional, real, and some inspired by true events, all of which can make a reader quite uneasy when they stumble upon them online, if they're specifically looking for scary Sonic things. And no, we are not talking about scary Sonic feeder porn. That falls under a different kind of horrifying, friends. Today, we're taking a look at more Sonic-inspired creepypastas with our list of the top 10 scary Sonic stories, Part 2. And at number 10, Lost Sonic. This story tells of a gamer who went up into his attic to find his old Sega Genesis. Upon finding the console, he also discovered something else, a cartridge with the words Lost Sonic written on it on a sticky note. He didn't remember owning that game in the past, so he decides to try it out. At first, it appears to be the original Sonic the Hedgehog game, but a few things were unusual, specifically the title screen, which was just black with the Sonic title and a giant ring. The game itself seemed normal though, minus the fact that the zones' names didn't appear, only the words Act 1. As he goes through it, he notices that there aren't any enemies or hazards or rings. Then, out of nowhere, Robotnik appears, collides into Sonic, and because there were no rings, Sonic dies immediately. Instead of the death animation though, the screen cuts to black, and the death sound effect noise was heard. The game freezes there, so the player resets his Genesis. This time the screen is red, and under the ring with Sonic in it, the title reads Lost. The level startup is also strange. It now reads Lost, No Escape, Act 1. So he just plays through the level. The next level loads with no title. It's an underground level with bones and small puddles of red along the ground. There were no checkpoints, and the only badnik to appear was the centipede from the Mystic Cave Zone. So the player finally makes it through the level, but then the screen goes completely red and a message appears, reading, "You couldn't escape." Sonic then appears hung by a noose. The player turns off the game and throws it into the trash. Better safe than sorry. Up next, number 9, Sonic EXE. Now, we tried to avoid talking about Sonic EXE on our Part 1 list of Sonic scary stories since it's pretty well known, but it's pretty much the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Sonic-inspired horror tales. As the story goes, a teenager encounters a series of paranormal events after he gets a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog as a modified PC port from a friend who leaves it for him along with a mysterious note. The CD that the game appears on has the name Sonic EXE written on it in Sharpie. Now, when he loads up the game, there's 3 playable characters, Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and he plays them each in consecutive levels that become increasingly scarier as the sentient Sonic chases the characters down and seemingly murders them. The story has some variations. Some say that the player was attacked by Sonic coming through his computer screen. Others say that the player shut off his computer, and then turned around to find a Sonic plushie covered in blood. Others say that the player is haunted in his sleep, tosses out the game for good, destroying it, but then Sonic eventually catches up to him and kills him. There's even been a game that indie developers have crafted based off of it, matching up the description of the creepypasta that you can download yourself, and it actually looks really fun. Up next, number 8, Undead Tales. This one comes from DeviantArt user AskCreepySonic, who starts off this creepypasta by saying that they are a fan of the classic Sonic games rather than his 3D titles. This is why he stopped playing Sonic for so many years, at least until rediscovering his old Master System. When his old Shinobi cartridge doesn't work, it prompted him to go shopping in search of anything else that the system could run in working order. He stumbles across a copy of Sonic 2. He plays through the game, finishing it without collecting all of the Chaos Emeralds. The credits of the game then start to play, and that's when he notices that Sonic is crying. The game then returns to the title screen, which then reveals Sonic and Tails together, except Tails is gray in color and had no eyes, as if he were a zombie. Curious and intrigued, the player starts the game again, and rather than Tails appearing with Sonic as he normally does, he just disappears entirely. As the player plays through, Sonic is crying despite his controls still responding like they normally do. Now, when the player goes looking for the first Chaos Emerald, it's not where it should be. When he gets to the third act of the first zone and the insect-like boss with pincers, his controls become unresponsive altogether, and Sonic jumps towards the boss and is hit by its pincers. The game then freezes and turns into a black screen, so the player resets his console. Then when the title screen shows up, Tails still appears to look like a zombie and Sonic's eyes are white. Now, assuming that he's playing a hacked game, the player decides to keep going and just presses start. The screen turns to black and Sonic and Tails are completely absent when it loads. The words RIP appear on the screen. The player turns off the game and claims to have never played it since. There's a pattern here with these creepypastas. Bit formulaic. Up next, number 7, an ordinary Sonic ROM hack. This creepypasta is a spin-off of the Sonic EXE creepypasta, and tells of a player who is a Sonic fan, and had thought that the Sonic EXE was an urban legend and a bunch of baloney. That is, until he gets an email from someone named Tom. The email reads, "Dude, don't you dare play this game. He's in it." Attached is a Genesis ROM titled An Ordinary Sonic Hack. So the player's like, screw it, let's give it a go. He loads it up and it's Sonic EXE. Thinking that this is some silly prank, he decides he'll play it anyway. Now, beginning the game, it seems totally normal until static appears on his screen. Red rings appear, and if you collect them, your ring count would actually drop. Badniks were invincible, and his score would just drop on its own. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the Sonic sprite who appeared in all of the Sonic EXE creepypastas that he's read about chases his Sonic as he progresses through the zone. Phrases like "found you" began appearing on the screen while he's running. Knowing that in Sonic EXE the evil Sonic strikes you regardless, the player waited in anticipation. Eventually the evil Sonic caught up, he hears the piercing scream that is supposed to occur, and the game restarts. Except this time when the game restarted, the player was just regular old Sonic again. So he plays through until he reaches Robotnik. The battle goes down as it normally should, but after a few seconds, the world started to turn dark again. After about 4 hits, Robotnik would drop a monitor. Now, if Sonic grabbed it, the world would go from dark to regular again. This continued to happen until he defeated Robotnik. Now, the player thinking that he had defeated a silly game, he just goes back to his email to respond to this Tom character who had sent it to him. But the email was gone. He then checked all of his inboxes, his trash, his junk mail, etc., but it was nowhere to be found. Apparently this version of the ROM does exist in real life, but it seemingly has to be emailed to you in order to pass it on. Wonder what happens if you don't beat the game. Up next, number 6, the Dreamcast. This one tells of a man whose friend decides to bust out his old Dreamcast to play Sonic Adventure. The two of them used to play the game together after school, and feeling nostalgic, his buddy just keeps sending him pictures of his screen as he plays. Now, as his friend progresses, the game starts to glitch a lot. So the pictures he sends over to his buddy just get stranger and stranger. He keeps playing through though, getting to Big the Cat's story. You know, that fishing minigame? It was always their least favorite part of the game. Big always seemed so idiotic, and searching for Froggy was just kind of a silly mechanic. But his pal carries on, and as he's trying to catch Froggy for the first time, he starts texting his friend about the game freezing, and sends him a photo of Big, staring directly at him from the screen. It's kinda creepy. He tells his friend that his controls have become unresponsive. Now, as the author of the story is texting his buddy back, he gets a photo message. It's Big the Cat, but appearing on the Dreamcast controller's small screen, staring right at him with dead eyes. The next text he gets from his friend reads, "Can you come over?" Now, as our author is typing his response, he gets another text saying, "I think someone is trying to get into my house." He replies, "Are you sure?" After a few minutes of no response, he just calls his friend, who doesn't pick up. He waits 10 minutes, calls again, then again. Finally, hours later, he gets a text from his pal saying, "Don't worry, dude, false alarm." The next evening, the author is walking his dog and passes by his friend's house. None of the lights are on, except the upstairs bedroom, which he knows is his friend's room. For a second, he sees a large hulking shadow that has large pointy lynx-like ears. A second later, the lights turn off. He texts his friend saying, "Hey man, are you home?" but gets no response. He continues to walk and takes his dog home. A week passes and he's still heard nothing from his buddy. He's growing concerned. He takes his dog out for a walk and decides to take the route past his friend's house just to check up on him. But this time, he sees police in front of the house, with the building taped off. Alarmed, he talks to one of the officers outside. Later, he would find out that his friend's parents, who were on vacation, had returned home to find their son dead in front of his Dreamcast, eyes wide open, with his father's fishing pole line tightened around his throat, it having strangled him, and that there were signs that the home had been invaded. Ooh, was it Big the Cat? Up next, number 5, Genocide City. The Genocide City zone is a scrapped level from Sonic the Hedgehog 2 that was never really completed. Instead, its map eventually became Metropolis Zone Act 3. It was also believed that the boss for this potential level was equally as grim as the level's name. Apparently, it was a hedgehog with a flaming skull. This theory originates from a piece of trivia published in a magazine that claims it was nixed because showing something that looked like Sonic's skeleton was a big no-no according to Sega. Now, according to the level designer Tom Payne, the reason why the level was called Genocide City was due to the development team's not quite complete grasp of the English language. This has spawned quite a few different creepypastas over the years, the most popular being one where a player tries to enter debug mode through the sound test menu, and accidentally stumbles upon a level that's pitch black. Sonic runs along the ground until he reaches what appears to be an edge, leading down into nothingness. When the player pushes forward or tries to jump over the ledge to whatever may be on the other side, Sonic falls, turning into his death animation. But he never hits the ground. He just falls for an eternity, until you turn off the console. Not nearly as intense or traumatic of a creepypasta compared to some of the other ones on this list, but somehow its morbidity makes it a little bit worse. And at number 4, Sonic Generations' Amy Rose. This creepypasta is by DeviantArt user Danderson9615, who starts the story off by telling readers how he got a free copy of Sonic Generations from an odd man at a toy store. Going home, he opens up the game's case to discover that the CD has no artwork on it. Rather, the words "Do not play" are written on a piece of tape attached to the disc. He ignores the message, not wanting to ruin his chance to finally play this game that he's been wanting since it was released. But when he starts the game, text appears on the screen with the words, "It begins." This doesn't match up to any of the Let's Play videos that he's watched of the game, so he's just like, hell, let's find out what happens. The "Can You Feel the Sunshine" theme starts to play, and gradually distorts. He mutes his TV. Playing as classic Sonic, he realizes that there's no enemies on the first level. And as he reaches the first goalpost, Sonic freezes and doesn't respond to any of his commands. That's when Sonic falls to the ground. A new stage begins, titled Time to Die. As he begins to play, he sees that Amy Rose has appeared. She starts to chase him. Her eyes flash red. He turns the sound back on and hears a girlish voice repeat over and over, "Come to play." Amy gets closer and closer to him. This is when he realizes Sonic's spin dash has been disabled. Amy gets closer and closer again, and finally she catches up to him. A cutscene plays, which features Amy decapitating Sonic. Definitely didn't see this in a Let's Play. The player then throws up. When he returns to his television, he sees the words "Fun Never Ends" on his screen. He goes to turn off the console, but it won't turn off. Modern Sonic appears. The player picks up the controller and takes over. This time, as Amy chases him, the camera angle has changed to a downwards 3D chase similar to Crash Bandicoot. Amy catches up again and catches Sonic, ripping off his head once more. Text then appears on the screen again. This time, it's the player's name and the words, "You're next." He grabs the console, finds a hammer, and smashes it to pieces. Moving on to number 3, Sonic CD's hidden message. One of the most well-known secrets about Sonic CD is that if you enter a certain chain of numbers into Sound Test, you can find a bunch of secret screens hidden in the game left by developers. One of these hidden screens is a terrifying message that contains creepy music, along with a background filled with deformed Sonic sprites that look a little bit like Sonic and Mario crossbred together, along with a message that reads, "Infinite Fun Sega Enterprises." Now this message, signed by Majin, is said by some to translate into a word that means devil, which many interpreted this as being a message from Satan himself. Now, a few creepypastas have used this as a basis for their stories, that gamers would unlock this hidden screen only to have odd things happen to them. They would die shortly afterwards, they would experience hallucinations or night terrors, or have friends who unlocked it and became possessed by a demon. Creepy, isn't it? But turns out in real life, Majin was actually just the nickname of one of the individuals who worked on Sonic 2, named Masato Nishimura, and that's where the name came from. It's not Satan. Up next, number 2, Bad Hack. This creepypasta tells the story of a man who back in the 90s adored playing Sonic games on his Sega Mega Drive. Now when he was adult, he got hit with a wave of nostalgia and decided to find himself a Mega Drive on eBay so he could play Sonic again. He finds one for £6, which claims that it comes with the first Sonic game. So he's like, hell, I'll buy it, that's cheap. But when he receives it in the mail a week later, the cartridge's original label has been ripped off, and now has a new sticker replacing it and the title of the game scribbled on its front. He's like, hey, whatever, starts playing. And instead of the game starting up like it should, static noise starts pouring out of his TV. The sky then shows up on his screen and it's dark, and the sea looks kinda sludgy. During the Green Hill Zone, Sonic looked pale, and when he ran, he began crying digital tears. When Sonic approached a Buzz Bomber, it killed him brutally, stabbing him through the chest. That's when Robotnik appeared. The author claims he went up to Sonic and broke Sonic's neck. A message then appeared in Japanese on his screen with a yes or no selection. The player decides to choose yes. This time, the player gets to the end of the stage, with the Wrecking Ball boss. But before he can do anything about it, the Wrecking Ball destroys Sonic, and static appears on his screen. This is when the player gets a little freaked out. He goes into his search history on his computer to find the seller he got the game from on eBay, but no luck. Only a 404 page, and upon searching the seller's name, nothing appears on eBay. And last but not least, in at number 1, Tails Doll. The only other Sonic urban legend that is as famous as Sonic EXE is the Tails Doll creepypasta. Now in it, a man buys Sonic R for him and his son to play. They play through it all night and unlock all the characters, but then the game starts to glitch, and the cursor gets stuck on Tails Doll. So the boy decides to go to bed, but the dad is like, you know what, I'm just gonna reboot the system and play the game alone for a few hours before going to sleep. He then starts playing as Tails Doll, one of the characters that they unlocked. But it gets kinda creepy, and starts to lag and glitch. He finishes his race anyway, and then the game freezes and the power goes off in his house. The story then has 2 variations. The first is that the dad goes to bed and hears someone knocking at his bedroom door. Thinking it's his son, he calls out telling him to go back to sleep. But the knocking continues. So he goes up to the door and opens it, which reveals a Tails plushie with 2 red eyes sitting on the floor. The other variation is that after the power goes out, he sees 2 little red lights. He then turns the lights back on to see the Tails plushie. That's when he becomes unconscious. Hours later, he wakes up to see the plushie on his TV screen with the words, "Can you feel the sunshine?" The name of Tale's theme, written in blood. Sometimes he dies, but sometimes the story just ends there. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these is your favorite? A lot of them are pretty repetitive. There's a pattern. Probably write your own real easy. Which creepypastas do you think could actually be true? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know. If you dug this video, spread the love and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for Top 10 Gaming for more lists, including a lot of Sonic ones, like all the ones in the playlist currently flashing on your screen. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Catch you all in the next one.